Example 4 on page 597. Solve this equation. Now, you're not given an equation that in the form of a quadratic form directly. For this case, you have to work around to get this quadratic equation or this form. So this is a little bit tricky because you're given here 3 terms, and all you see is that this term has denominator x, and this term has denominator x squared, and this term has denominator, which is a constant. If you think about it, it's very similar to this x squared, x, and constant. What we got here is x squared, x, and constant denominator. So when you see this, you know that you can convert this equation or rewriting this equation as a quadratic equation. Okay, if you have denominator x squared, x, and constant here as denominator, you can rewriting this equation as a quadratic equation. You can do that by first find LCD, least common denominator of all the 3 fractions. Okay, so for this, let me rewrite the original problems first. Equal phi divided by x squared. So denominator of this term is 1, right? So it turns out the LCD, least common denominator, is x squared, because x squared is the factor that occurs the most. Okay, for this denominator has x occur only 1 time. For this, it's just 1, or occurs 0 time. You can think about it that way. So the LCD is x squared. So noting the LCD, our next goal is to remove all the denominators. So I'm going to multiply the LCD x squared on both sides of the equation. Okay, and then simplify. I'm going to distribute this. I have x squared times 2 over 1 is 2x squared. X squared plus x squared times 7 over x equal to x squared. Now, let's simplify it. Times phi over x squared. 2x squared. X squared on top divided by the x at the bottom. So you're left with x. So x times 7 is 7x equal x squared on top divided by x squared at the bottom. So you're left with 1. 1 times phi is phi. Okay? Now, you're very close to the quadratic equation. Remember, for quadratic equation, you need to have one side equal to 0. So that means I need to remove this term by subtracting phi on both sides of the equation. Then I would get 2x squared plus 7x minus phi equal to 0. So now I have the quadratic equation that matches this standard form of equation. Next thing you need to do is to recognize which one is A, which one is B, which one is C. Now A is the coefficient of x squared, so x squared is here. So A is 2. Okay. B is the coefficient of x, so we have x here, and it's a positive 7, so B is 7. And what is C? C is the constant term, and if we have constant term here is negative 5. So make sure you see that this is negative 5, not 5, okay? So C is equal to negative 5. So now we know ABC, we can use the quadratic formula to solve this equation. So I'm going to continue from here to here, okay? So x is equal to, using quadratic formula here, negative of b. What is b? B is 7 plus or minus square root of b squared. B is 7, so 7 squared minus 4 times a times c. What is a? A is 2 times c. C is negative 5. Divide by 2 times a. A is 2. Now we're ready to simplify. So we have here negative 7 plus or minus square root of 7 squared is 49. Negative times negative here is positive. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 5 is 40. Divide by 4. 2 times 2 is 4, okay? Equal to negative 7 plus or minus square root of this. You add them up, you get 89. Okay? Divide by 4. Now 89. Let's see, 89, can you factor 89 out with anything else? Luckily you cannot factor out 89, so you can leave the answer like this. Let me see how the books leave this answer. For example, 4 negative 7 plus or minus square root of 89 divided by 4. So you can leave the answer like this, or you can leave the answer by splitting this one fraction to two fractions. So negative 7 divided by 4, and then plus or minus, and then take the square root, 89, divide by denominator 4, okay? So make sure you recognize these are the same solutions. Now for me, you don't have to estimate using the calculator to approximate. You can leave the answer at the exact value, like this k, okay? So this solution right here is equal to this solution. The only thing different is that this is one fractions, this is two fractions because you split this fraction into two. Okay, so the answer are negative 7 plus or minus square root of 89 divided by 4, or negative 7 over 4 plus or minus square root of 89 divided by 4. They are solutions to this equation, and you can check if you replace each x into the x in the equation, simplify it, you should get the same value for the left hand side and the right hand side.